All right. Happy October and welcome back. And thank you if you are listening to this month's October astrology. Just one sip of tea. So we'll start by there is a new moon in Libra on October 6th. And just to talk about Libra, I've talked about how it's a symbol that's represented by scales. You often find, like, I notice when I walk downtown past law offices where I live, they have the like actual statue of the scales in front of their buildings. And so that symbol being associated with Libra represents justice, equality, and harmony. Um, so those are big things, as well as it's a symbol of partnership. And, if to come back to uh, lawyers again, that is um, people seek out lawyers when there are disagreements and when those sorts of things happen. So um, that's why I think the scales are associated with Libra, and then also Libra being partnership, relationship. It's the experience of life with another and what we learn with them and through the experience of being with them. Um, so it's also uh, the balance of the masculine and the feminine. And whenever we have a new moon, it's when the sky is dark. It's a time to go inward, a time to step away from the world, a time like full permission to be introverted when that's going on. And so it's also a time for um, planting seeds and setting intentions. And something that I've been thinking about a lot more since Libra is that balance of masculine and feminine energy within us. Masculine energy is doing, pursuing, willing something into being. And it's when you say, I am going to do this, and you follow through. Whereas feminine is more resting, receiving, nurturing. Um, and I see it as listening and sort of like, what am I gaining from the, or what am I hearing and feeling and sensing? The feminine is more sensual, I guess, and receptive in that sense. So, uh, and intuitive as well. And so, if on the new moon you're wanting to set intentions and be in that masculine energy, then by all means go ahead and do so. And then if you are feeling like you'd like to go more of a feminine energetic route, then that would be like how I see it, or how I would practice on a new moon is um, like, what is coming to me that I'm not, like, it's not something that's I'm thinking of, but what am I feeling like in my day to day that um, feels like a message coming to me versus something coming out of me. I don't know if that makes total sense, but because I feel like it's important, at least for this new moon, to think of or contemplate that. Like, if I want to really celebrate this new moon, and this sign Libra is about this balance of energies, the balance of the scales, like, where am I more imbalanced, I guess? Am I more in my masculine? Am I more in my feminine? And And can I use the celebration of this new moon and the ritual of it to bring myself back into balance? Um, this plant or this sign is also ruled by the planet Venus, and Venus is about love and beauty, and self-worth is always associated with Venus as well. um, Venus is, I've talked about this before, but Venus has this cloud around it where it attracts the sun's brightest rays and then bounces those bright rays back into the universe. And so if we use that mirror of, nature and the galaxy in the context of the new moon and in astrology, I see that as like, yes, the attraction and reception. And so to think about those qualities as well on the new moon, like what, because if you are going to go that route of listening, it's like, well, what am I attracting to me? um, and let's see. Oh, Libra is an air sign. And so the air sign is all about intellect and communication, writing, speaking, and sharing information. And so, um, a beautiful use of this energy is to, I think, if we want to work with the new moon, write it out or verbally process it out with a friend, or a partner, coworker, family member, whomever you feel, uh, you know, comfortable enough with getting vulnerable in communicating if you're going to verbally process anyway. Um, and that might be a really wonderful idea. I know I said it's an introverted time of the moon cycle, but um, because this sign is about friendships and relationships and romantic partnerships and business partnerships too, then I think, that it might be a good time to have a little circle with some friends, and or to talk about those things, those intentions we'd like to set, or the information that's coming to us that we want to uh, work with. um, yeah, so that's it for the new moon. On October 7th, Venus is moving into Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a fire sign. It's in the element of fire, so it's very action oriented. And the Sagittarius is about um, truth seeking and philosophy and information coming from, I would say, intuition versus like doing diligent research on something. Uh, Sagittarius is also about spirituality and higher knowledge and travel. I've also, I've, for some reason, like outdoor sports is coming to mind with Sagittarius because it's also a very athletic sign. And so, um, I think perhaps, you know, this might be a good time to do a camping trip. I don't know, something with nature. Um, because with Venus and Sagittarius, I could see it as we are attracting uh, information, attracting knowledge, and, that might be a lot to deal with. And so, if we want to sit with it, going into nature to get more clear on all of that might be a good idea at that time. Um, but I think the thing that I love about Sagittarius is that it is uh, humorous and optimistic and always sees the brighter side of life, and it sees the humor in everything. And so, if you are receiving new insights, then perhaps, finding a way to laugh at those things. Um, and yeah, anytime there's fire, it's higher energy. It's a little bit more intense, sometimes more reactive. But I see this as being a really enjoyable time for while Venus is in Sagittarius. So that's on October 7th. On October 20th, we have a full moon in Aries. And so think back to the beginning of April and perhaps what has changed in your life since then. And anytime there's a full moon, the energy is at its highest. And so we are often more extroverted at this time. Um, but, take the time to tune in and think about what you can work on letting go of. So, what reflect, yeah, because, yeah. Right after this period, Mercury will have just gone out of retrograde. And so, whenever I'll go back to the full moon, but whenever Mercury is in retrograde, um, it was September 27th to October 18th. During that period of time, that's a good time to reflect. And so, as we're leading up to the full moon, um, hopefully that's a part of your process. Mercury represents the mind and how we process information and how we communicate. It's our analytical mind. And I think during that period of time, um, especially because we'll still be in Libra season at that time, think of reflect on the ways in which we've communicated with other people in our life and perhaps what has can we look back and see where we might have done things differently. So to get back to the full moon, um, focus on what you can let go of. So Aries is about the self and the definition of self and the identity. I also see it as the physical identity. Um, and so what came to me was, what stories around your identity can you let go of? Like something that um, relates to, hmm, like I would see it as like what I will do is, what's a story about how I believe other people perceive me based on very brief interactions, not I'm not thinking about someone that knows me well, but like someone whom I don't spend a whole lot of time with, but we are in passing all the time, and they might have some ideas about me, and maybe I've taken uh, those stories on, based on their first impression of who I am. And so looking at those stories and around your identity and what you can uh, look at with a little in a bit more depth, and kind of unpack and see what's not true there. And hopefully that's something you can work with in letting go. Because right now there is an aspect in the sky. I won't really talk about it too much, but there's a wounding around our physical identity right now. And the, think about those stories about, um, like, here's an example, I guess, of like, I am a woman, I am white, I come from a middle class family, and I won't say anything more. I do this job, I do, like very kind of basic things. They aren't the full depth of who you are. So think about that and let those go. On October 23rd, the sun enters Scorpio. And when I think about Scorpio, I don't know why, but soil comes to mind. And I think it's because Scorpio is everything that's underneath the surface. And so when I think of soil, we see the plant that comes out of the soil, but there's roots into the soil. And Scorpio is about um, like analyzing the roots of things. And then also, everything dies and is reborn in soil. We have these cycles in nature. And um, there's a season to everything in this time of year. We have the leaves are falling off the trees. We've just gone from these beautiful colors to everything dying, and sort of this segue into things dying, and that's kind of what Scorpio is about. Um, but through the process, like if we look at nature through the process of things dying, like we know that there will be uh new life in the spring, and sometimes we even get a better crop the next spring. So yeah, thinking about that symbol of soil and plants and the regenerative qualities of soil, I recently found out that the glyph of Scorpio actually is a representation of or I guess it was a symbol of the phoenix, which is always um, a description of Scorpio. So other things about that. Um, hmm, it's also like like let's say I, or let's say you decide to buy with your money a reading from me, and you know I I give you the reading, and what happens on a very basic level is you paid for a reading, I give you a reading, and that's that. You give me money and then I get it, and you get something in return. And Scorpio energy is like the energy surrounding that. So let's say you buy a reading from me, I give you the reading, and you receive, all this value from this reading, and you learn a lot from it, and you find out all the find out all these things throughout in the process, and it feels like a priceless purchase to you. Or on the other side, like you pay for a reading and I give it to you, and you're like, well, that was a waste of my money. Like that, the feelings around giving the money and me giving something, it's all the feelings around the transaction of money, because Scorpio has to do with like money, sex, death, rebirth, like bullet points. And I'm just trying to explain it better through these examples. I really think that this is something that came to me is um, this Scorpio season it would be wise to perhaps think of your values, and having a clear sense of your values. Um, Anytime it's during Scorpio season, it's like it's not actually scary, but because it has to do with death and rebirth, it sounds really scary, and it can be really dark. And so really getting clear on your values so that you're not as subject to uh, they might seem like good seeming values from other people and other sources, but you don't want to leave yourself vulnerable. And when you have uh, a clear definition of your own value system, like living by your own value system, you're not as susceptible to potentially darker energies, um, because Scorpio is, it wants to merge with other energies and like share power in a way. Um, and um, it also has to do with personal empowerment, and that's why I'm kind of coming back to the having a clear sense of your value system, and looking at, your own underlying motives, and you're looking at the roots of things, like taking a magnifying glass and examining them deeply. um, Anyone who has like a lot of Scorpio in their chart is someone who's very um, sensitive. They just like they feel and they see things that I think that, maybe just like go right over the rest of our heads. I think it's a really cool sign. So that's on the 23rd. Some things to think about. On October 30th, Mars moves into Scorpio, and um, Mars is a action oriented planet that it's like that male energy. It's pursuing and forcing and willing and doing and um, yeah, turning something into a reality. Um, so I think with the combination of Mars and Scorpio, Scorpio, I was just saying how sensitive Scorpio is, and it's also has this awareness of the dark, and so, um, and if you think of a scorpion, they're like a very delicate creature, but they do sting, um, and I think of it as like during this time, it could be seen as like, I operate this way because I was hurt in this way. And so now I live and react to things that come at me in this way, and it comes out in a sting. Um, and I protect myself through X, Y, Z, whatever. Um, Hopefully that makes sense. uh that's kind of how I see that time anyway. Like around that time, it could be really great because for like your own sort of psychotherapy, like if you see a therapist, it might be good to talk to them. If you um I don't know, whatever form of self-help you choose to utilize around Halloween time, that might be wise, just because that combination of Mars, like uh, pursuing something, and that energy of Scorpio being the sensitive, like psychic uh, healer in a sense, and the awareness of our own sort of dark side, and um, like how can we transform those darker parts of ourselves into uh, light, and coming back to that image of the plant in the soil, and the life cycle of a plant. um, I also think that this would be a really great time, just because like around the world there are holidays that celebrate the dead at this time of year, and it might be a really, this is not my idea, this is something that I learned from someone else, but if you want to try to connect with your ancestors, like setting up some sort of altar in your kitchen. And I hear it's not good to do it in your room for probably some obvious reasons, but Yeah, set it up in your kitchen. Leave, people who have passed, leave things that they liked. Like I did one for my family, because I had a relative who passed earlier this year, and so like I lit a candle and I left a beer and just a cup of tea. Um, this is the side of my family that's from Ireland, so I also put like a green plant, and obviously Ireland, tea drinking and drinking in general. So those were two things I did, and I just kind of said like a little, you know, prayer intention, something that meant something to me to try to connect. And then I just let the candle be lit for a bit, and then I let it out and left the things overnight. And I am no expert on those things, so I'll leave that up to you. About what you want to do. But I think with those, I really think that, at least for me, um, the best way to practice astrology as a beginner is to look at nature, um, see what's going on, like outside, like look outside. Where is the sun, and what does the sunlight look like this time of year? What is the temperature? What plants are growing up? What colors am I seeing? What holidays are we celebrating? Right, because this is right after harvest time, and so anyway, that's why I kept coming back to that, just that celebration of people who've passed on in your own lineage, because um like, even though we all have stuff about our family we don't like, we need to give respect to them and honor them, because I know, like, none of us would be here if it weren't for them and for their hopes and their dreams. And I think about my grandfather, who left Ireland and came to America and had his own hopes and dreams. And so um, I think that time would be wise to celebrate your lineage, if or whatever and again, like anything I say in these videos, like, I just want it to be a sort of take what you like and leave the rest, and use your own intuition when uh deciding to follow any of this guidance. I i appreciate you if you're listening to this. This is my way of trying to put more good things onto the internet. And I've just had a lot to say. I'm not someone who's ever had desired to speak much. I like writing, but I've never desired really to put things out there until this year, um, and in this way. So, uh, yeah, yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening. I hope this serves you well, and I'm gonna say bye. I hope you have a beautiful October, and then my doggies say bye too. Okay, happy October.